Well, hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. It's your boy Jean, spelled like Jean.
And your boy John with the silent H. Welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on episode 77 of the Work for Change podcast. We have a good old-fashioned
You might have tapped on it.
What?
They could have tapped on it.
That's true.
They didn't have to click.
That's true.
That is very YouTube-y.
Or downloaded. I don't really know.
You could have downloaded this episode.
I have a YouTube vernacular. You know, that's where I spend most of my time.
Yeah, so you have a very you're starting a YouTube video, you just hit action, go.
Well, usually I mess up like 3 times before. But I usually say, what do I say? What's up, you guys? Thank you so much for... See, that's what I'll do. And then what's up, you guys? Thank you so much for... And then I'll go, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I literally, at almost every video I make, I have to do it 3 or 4 times. Because for some reason, I always say video first. But I like to say, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video.
You also have a cadence. You have a very specific cadence.
Yeah.
It's like, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the video. Thank you so much for clicking on the channel. It's like there's a way.
Is there? Yeah. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's like you got a cadence with it.
I think that helps with not saying the wrong thing, even though it doesn't work that well, I guess.
That's true. I mean, like, you look at a lot of popular YouTube channels. They have the one that I think of all the time is Frono's Photo. He's a guy with an afro, and he does camera reviews and stuff like that. He's always his name's Jared Polin. And so you click on his video, and every time it starts, Jared Polin, fronosphoto.com. Every time.
It becomes like a safety net, I think. Or it helps you get into the rhythm, I think, you know?
I think it's it helps in writing. You have the, I know this because I'm a prolific writer.
No, you're not.
You have the fear of the white blank page. Mm-hmm. And so if you at least got your intro in, it's well, now you're not starting a video from scratch, because you at least have that.
Yeah. And something that's changed quite a bit since we've been home in quarantine is I've been doing a lot more vlogs. And so the videos aren't always starting with me talking, it'll be there might be me making a coffee or me cleaning up the backyard or whatever it might be. But whenever I get in front of the camera, the first words I almost always say are going to be, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. And it just, it makes it feels like, okay, the video has started now, and now I just need to finish it, that is by far, and this is with anything, but by far the hardest thing about something is starting it, And that goes with videos as well. Getting once you get everything set up, that takes forever sometimes if you have everything put away, but then actually being okay, let me just get the intro out of the way so I feel like I've started the video and all I need to do is end it. Obviously you have to actually film the whole thing, but mentally that's kind of how I get through it. Mm-hmm. It's I've already started it, and I've actually taken that, I use that same mindset with it when it's workouts and stuff like that, because a lot of times it's hard to start a workout. But then once I'm in the middle of it, I'm always kind of finding ways to make the workout seem less insane than it is, or there's less to do. If it's a 5-round workout and I'm 1 round in, I'm oh, I only have 4 rounds left, and I've already did it once. I only have to do it 4 more. There's always some way that I'm rationalizing how much is left of the workout, and that's kind of how I am with videos. It's you have to get it started, and then it's okay, let's talk about, I usually have, if it's a just sit down talk video, I have things that I kind of want to say. I don't write out whole scripts for myself. It's just not how I do things. If I do that, it's very obvious and it looks very fake. I've tried it in the past. And so I have bullet points usually that I want to bring up, and then, I try and get through those. And so every time I get through one, I'm okay, we're moving closer. We're moving closer to the end goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't really... I don't know. I don't think I have anything that I'm very rhythmic with. Or routine. I mean, I got my morning routine, but that's it's not a YouTube channel. So it could be a YouTube video. My morning routine. Get ready with me.
Those were really big for a while. And for a long time, I kind of wanted to make a spoof on them and just make it really bad and You know, because all of the morning routine videos, they slowly turned into ads. Like it was, oh, I love this face wash. A lot of people have been asking about my skincare routine, and this is what I use. And then they show the thing, and then there's a link, which is fine, but it became a little ridiculous, I felt. So I wanted to make like a spoof for a while. I don't think I'm ever going to do that now, but that was like a thought that I had for a while.
Yeah. What was your biggest, what do you think, not like monetarily, but like your biggest ad placement that you're like, dude, this is awesome on your YouTube channel or something?
Biggest ad placement?
Yeah. Like, and it, like, again, not monetarily, but like, what was the biggest deal to you?
The biggest deal? I don't really know.
Like, what one had the greatest impact on you, the fact that they wanted to be involved with you? You know what I mean?
The biggest one at the start was Quest, because I ate their bars. Like I would eat almost two Quest bars every day for a long time when I was losing weight. And then I had the video go viral, and they reached out to me, and I just remember that was crazy. Like, I couldn't believe that they wanted to like work with me, and we worked together for quite a good amount of years.
Yeah.
We made a lot of stuff together, and that was really cool. They were always really cool. They were always really like fun to work with. The show that I recorded with them, Transformation, it was a lot of work, but I mean, it was a pretty cool thing that we did. And I think like the reason that I kind of stopped really working with them was, one, I kind of stopped using the product very much. And so like for me, if I'm not going to use the product, I'm not going to talk. It's just how I am naturally. Like if I'm not actually using the product, I'm not going to talk about it, you know? And so I wasn't really talking about it that much. They never said anything about it. Like they never were like, you need to, you know.
Yeah.
But then it just kind of, we slowly, because it wasn't like this, okay, every month we're going to pay you this amount of money you have to put. It was very organic. It was like they would just send me stuff and I would post about it whenever I wanted to. And then I noticed that they weren't sending things, which was fine because I wasn't using it anyways. And then it kind of just slowly, they started pivoting a lot more towards keto stuff. And obviously, like, I don't really do that. And a lot of their stuff, like, for a long time, and we can actually get into this a little bit, but for a long time, I wasn't doing dairy, you know, and I still, for the most part, don't.
Unless Chipotle put sour cream on your bowl.
What? Yes. Oh, my gosh. Last night, I ordered Chipotle, and I got it delivered because I'm a lazy piece of crap, and I put in...
No, because you care about...
I care about social distancing, okay? Yeah. That's why. That's why me and my brother are 6 feet apart right now.
Exactly.
But the thing that's ridiculous is, so I ordered, I think last week on the app as well for the first time, just because I honestly wanted to try it out, because I don't think I've ever ordered food like that. So I was like, well, let's see how it works. And then, so it saved my order, and my order was, and usually probably will always be for a while, is I'll do a burrito bowl, white rice, pinto beans. I'll do, I got double steak, mild salsa, corn salsa, fajita veggies, lettuce, and guac. And then I'll put on hot sauce here. So that was already saved, right? And then I'll get chips. That was already saved. So I just clicked on it, because the last time they brought it, fine. Everything was fine. It was great. This time, they brought it. I'm so excited. I was very hungry. I opened it up, and there's freaking sour cream all over it.
Yeah, it was
all over it.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of sour cream.
They
too.
were, yeah.
They were like, oh, he doesn't want sour cream. Let me just put all of the sour cream.
They were very liberal with the sour cream.
And so,
it's like first, one dude thought he was hooking you up.
Yeah. He thought he was like, dude, I'm gonna hook this guy up.
Yeah.
Sadly, I did not want it. So at first I was like, I was going to somehow try. I could not figure out how to try and return it, or obviously they're not going to return it, but like figure out a way to get what I wanted.
Yeah.
But then I was like, whatever, I don't care. So recently I've been playing around with adding a little bit more dairy, certain things into my diet, but I've been taking like Lactaid before I eat that. So luckily I had a good amount here, so I took two tablets of it, because I was like, this is a lot of sour cream, and it actually was fine. I didn't feel like horrible last night, because this was last night, so it was fine. But wow, we got off track really bad. So I was really not doing any dairy for many years. It was probably like 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so I just wasn't using the product. Again, this all goes into like, I just wasn't really using the product. And so we kind of just grew apart. There's no bad feelings. Like, Quest is a great company. I have nothing against them. It's just, I wasn't using the product, so I wasn't talking about it. The one that was, I don't really want to talk exact numbers, but it was like a pretty big amount. It was because one of my friends, I'm not going to use names, but one of my friends ended up like somehow starting to work with this brand, and they were like helping them give out brand deals to YouTubers. And because this is a friend that is also in the industry, and he like reached out to me and he said, hey, this company wants to work with people. Would you be cool if I gave them your contact? And I was like, yeah, sure. It was a mattress company. It's actually the mattress I still have. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then they reached out, and like, because he's he's my friend, he was like hooking it. He was like telling this company like, yeah, you should pay them this much. Just like stupidly.
Yeah.
Like more than I would ever ask for. And so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And I remember I got the, this is weird talking about, I don't like talking about money, but like I got the direct deposit check thing. Literally I was in line flying to the UK. And I was like, sweet, I have money for this trip. Like,
Wow. And that's when you went to the UK for 5 months. I mean, 5 weeks or something, right?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. I still think about that. I'm like, I can't believe that I did that.
Yeah.
Especially now. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But like, that was a crazy experience. That's something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. And I'm so glad that I did it. I was so scared. Like the whole trip, I remember the whole time, before I actually landed in the UK, I was like, something is going to happen and I'm going to be stuck somewhere. I don't know what's going to happen to me, because I was just like, and it almost did. Like I got like the cheapest flight I could find, and it was basically, so it was from San Diego to like, I think it was New York, and that was on JetBlue because that's like their hub is in New York. And then I had to transfer airlines, not just planes, airlines to Thomas Cook, which is a big one in the UK, or was a big one I don't know if they're still around. But so I'm in New York, I land, I have like an hour and a half before my next flight. So I was like, okay, I'm cool. Like, even if it's kind of far, it shouldn't be a problem. Like, I have a pretty big layover. I literally, like, I used up all of that time. Because I had to get off the plane. Obviously, I had to deplane. I had to go get my luggage. And then I had to go through customs, which I didn't realize. Because I had to go through customs because now I'm flying out of the U.S.
Yeah.
So then they had to check my passport. They like kept swiping it. And that's what I was the most scared of. Because I was like, I just got my passport before this.
Yeah.
And she was like looking at it all weird. And I was like, like I was. And then I like literally, dude, I got in line to board the plane. I got there as they were boarding the plane, and I had an hour and a half. So that whole time was taken, and I was starving. Luckily, we were lining up, and there was a Panda Express right next to me. So I went to talk to the person behind me, and I was like, "Can I just get some food real quick? I'm just gonna eat it in line. I'm really hungry," and they let me. And so, but I just remember we got through, but then it wasn't like you like checked your tickets and then you got on the plane. It was like you checked your tickets and you went down this long stairway and you got on this like trolley thing, like basically like it was like a bus, and then they take you from the bus. It was just like, I just remember I kept thinking like someone's gonna tap me on the shoulder like, hey, we need to see you over here, something like that. But luckily everything worked out, but it didn't actually, because when I got there, one of my bags was missing. And so for like a week, I had no clothes.
Wow.
So we had to go, when we landed, I was there with my friend Craig, he's been on the podcast, him and Jazz. When we landed, we had to stop at like I think it was an Aldi or an Asda or something like that. And we had to go and buy like underwear and stuff for me because I had nothing. And luckily, like I could wear some of his clothes, but like obviously I'm not going to wear his underwear. So
yeah.
So underwear and socks. And I just remember I was not even surprised. I was just like, of course. Yeah. Of course it's lost. Like, I wasn't expecting it. But it worked out because they ended up, like, they drove it to the house and stuff, which was weird because, like, they don't live, like, in the middle. They live kind of in the boondocks. So, it worked out. But that's my story.
Why? So you were talking about wanting to talk about dairy. Why did you decide to quit dairy? What did dairy ever do to you?
Well, for a long time, like, I mean, and still, I'd say that it doesn't make me feel the best, like, inside. Like, I definitely feel like I'm either slightly lactose intolerant, or you could either be, like, kind of, like, allergic to it. I know there's different levels, and I wouldn't be surprised if most people were in some capacity lactose intolerant. Like, I don't know many people that are like, yeah, I drink, like, a gallon of milk, and I feel fine afterwards, you know? And so I noticed that, but then a big one for me, and I don't even know how true this is. I've been doing more and more research, and I think maybe it was placebo, but I was dealing with not super bad acne, but enough to where it was like, I want to do something to try and figure this out. And so I was like reading into it, and I saw a lot of stuff that said dairy would cause it. And so I was like, well, I'll just try and take it out of my diet. And for a long time I would like limit my dairy, but I didn't really that much. Like I would try, but not, I would usually just be like, no cheese. That's pretty much all I did.
Yeah.
But then one year, I think it was 2017, I'd made a New Year's resolution that I'm not going to have any dairy. And then pretty much from then on, I just never had anything in my power. Like if it was a little bit of butter on something and I forgot to ask for no butter, I was just like, whatever. I'm not going to freak out about it. But I was pretty good with it. But then recently, I've just kind of, I was sick of putting that restriction on myself because I just didn't feel like I needed to. You know, I'm getting older now too, so it's like I'm not that worried about acne as much.
Yeah.
You know, like not that I've grown out of it because I still struggle with it, but it was pretty bad when I first started it, and so like recently I've kind of just been sick. I mean, it's been years now, you know, and I kind of wanted to see what would happen if I like maybe did it with lactated. Maybe I'll try it without, but like the lactate seems to work really well for me. And I know people commented on a video of mine because I said that like it's something that I don't know, if it feels a little weird, and I knew people would have like their 2 cents, right?
Yeah.
Like why would you? And the comment was something along the lines of like, why would you eat dairy if you have to take medicine for it? And I was like, just because I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, I don't do it all the time. It's not like I'm taking 14 lactates a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll usually have 1 or 2, maybe, like if that, every day, you know, not even every day. And so it's just like, I just like to kind of experiment with my body, and it's kind of fun to like see what foods agree with me, what foods don't. And like, I really am, like I was just really hungry last night, so I was like, I'm going to eat this regardless. I mean, I really think if I didn't have the lactate, I probably would have figured out a way for them to like bring me what I actually wanted. Or I probably would have just went and got it.
Yeah.
Probably would have done. But I had the lactate and I was like, well, let's give it a try. I understand this podcast has been a lot about my dairy consumption, and I feel very strange about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that for me personally, I just kind of have a weird relationship with dairy. But it's like dairy makes me bloated, and I still eat it all the time. That's it.
Yeah,
that's the weird relationship.
And that's the thing. I think that a lot of people can relate to that. Like I think that that's a pretty normal thing.
I think I'm constantly just in a state of bloated, and I'm just used to it.
Well, like, have you ever thought about working on that and like trying? Because imagine if you weren't, and like imagine. I know that you're just saying like bloated, but imagine if it's some sort of like slight, I don't want to say allergic reaction, but like your body doesn't like that, and so it's inflamed. Imagine if you stopped doing that could possibly make you feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And so that's where my mind was when I was like, I'm going to cut it out, because I was like, well, let's just see, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not like a lot of people like to, when they cut out a certain thing, they're like, oh, it solved everything for me. I'm not going to say that. Like it was nice, but again, obviously it wasn't that great if I want to try it out again. Yeah.
I went through a couple weeks where I cut out dairy, not a couple weeks, couple days. And
a couple hours.
Yeah. And I just like wasn't, I don't know, like the idea of ordering something and not having dairy in it was just so, it was like depressing every time I would eat. And so I was just like, I don't care enough. Like it literally was like, I don't care enough about this. For example, like Chipotle, I have sour cream and cheese in my bowl, and it was just like, I don't know, not ordering that was so like, oh, okay. That I was just like, I don't care about the.
Yeah. I was a little worried about that at the start, but it just became it didn't bother me really. Like, and I was definitely like a person that liked cheese. Like growing up, our dad would like cut slices of cheese and stuff, and like that's what I started doing that because he did it, you know, and I would just literally eat like
bricks,
so much,
blocks
so
of
much
cheese.
So not a good idea. And it was like extra sharp, the better. The more sharp the cheese was, the better, because I'd literally eat it by itself, and not just like a tiny piece of cheese, like a big block of cheese.
Yeah.
And so I guess I thought it would be harder, but then like once I kind of got into it, it just became like it. Now it's like second nature. Like I always say no cheese, or I just don't order the cheese or whatever. Like it's become very, very normal for me. That I actually did at one time I did no meat for a month. I was doing it for something for church. It was like fasting, and it was like give up something that you like. And I was like, okay, I'll give up meat for a month. That was so much easier.
It was easier to give up meat than it was dairy.
Like because you could just like if you actually add like it just I don't know. For me, it was a lot easier. Like it's so much. You don't have to think as much because you just say no meat.
Yeah.
When it's dairy, like I still struggle when I try and say no dairy to people. They don't. It's like they don't understand.
Yeah.
And like they still put this and that, and I'm like, it just there's more things inside of dairy. I feel like there's more like there could be butter, there could be cheese, there could be this, there could be that. When it's meat, it's like everyone knows. Okay, he said no meat. We're not gonna put meat on it.
I never crave Jack in the Box tacos. It's not like a thing that I'm like, oh, that'd be really good. But as soon as you say like no meat, like, oh, try no meat, my first thing goes, I can probably still get Jack in the Box tacos. And it's like all of a sudden I want that now because it's like, because technically it's like a soy base or whatever, like it's not real.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think like Jack in the Box tacos, like that's like a soy product. And so it's like I immediately start craving that because it's like close enough to it, but not it. I wonder what that's gotta be some psychological stuff that I need to lay down on a couch and talk to a psychoanalyst about.
Well, that's the thing. Like there are tons of, especially now, like there's tons of stuff that tastes pretty similar to meat. That's not meat. Mm-hmm. So like if it's something you really want to do, you definitely could. The thing is from what I've seen, usually those, quote unquote fake meats are not the healthiest things in the world.
Yeah.
And so it's an interest. I don't know. Like I don't really care if you eat meat or don't, or eat dairy or don't, but it's just something that was like a big part of, like, it's been a big part of my journey and kind of like what I've been through.
I'm going to go turn my second camera back on.
All right.
What do you want to talk about while I do that?
I'll just wait for you to turn it back on.
All right. Here we go, guys. If you guys could only see the lengths I go. Oh, I just took a picture. All right. It's back on. I wonder how many more times I'll need to do that this episode. I would like to get a second camera that you don't have to do that for, but I ain't got the dollars. Mm-hmm. The dollar bills, Okay, so how's your levels going so far? And what am I talking about? I'll say what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So, last week we had an episode where we talked with a couple doctors who started this company called Levels. And basically what they do is they measure you, they put you on a continuous glucose monitor, which measures your blood sugar, which kind of gives you a reading of what you're eating does to your blood sugar and to your body and to your, and then when you eat a certain amount of carbs, your body gives an insulin response. A sharp drop in insulin could be a cause for feeling tired, sluggish, hangry, whatever. And so we are about 1 week into this journey. How has it been for you?
It's honestly been a lot less crazy than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have much more spikes and lows. And our range that we've set for ourselves that they told us that we should probably do is 71 to 120. And there's only been a couple times where I've been under that, like literally like 3 times. And it's not been that far under it. Uh-huh. And then the only times that it's really over it is usually after a workout.
Yeah.
And so even with what I eat, even like that Chipotle that had, there was a ton of chips. There's a lot of fat and stuff. So that's all helping. But like I had a bowl of fruit it was just fruit, like sugar, and my blood sugar did not spike super high.
Well, fruit's good because it has the fiber.
Yeah, I understand that, and I don't really eat anything that's going to be crazy high sugar. Like I don't eat like snacks and like Swiss cakes and you know what I mean, like stuff like that. So, but I even tried oatmeal, right? And that was something that I talked about on the episode last week. Was oatmeal used to make, and didn't, you know?
Yeah.
But again, I put protein and peanut butter in my oatmeal.
It was also, what, one whole serving less than you normally eat too?
No, I made it 120 grams like I normally do. And I'm surprised. Like, and I guess that's a good thing. Like, my body is handling things well and it's not having too many issues.
Yeah.
And so maybe I just need to stop being a crybaby. And like, if I feel tired, it's not my blood sugar. I'm just being tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think I had a bad sensor. I started with one sensor and it was like reading me negative, like, or below,
really low all the time.
Really low all the time. And so then I'm like, frick, I'm hypoglycemic. Great. You know, I always felt like I was. But then I was building some shelves and bumped my tricep on the wall and it knocked it off. And I was like, oh, dang it. Mm-hmm. So then I put the other one on and my sugars have been in really good levels. I've got a couple spikes after I eat. And then a couple times I go low still.
Yeah.
But like for the most, like within that 70 to 120, I'm 100% time and target right now.
Yeah.
For the past 24 hours.
A lot of people that watched because I made a YouTube video where I kind of talked about it. A lot of people were like, they're not super accurate. And I think that the company kind of knows that it's more about the trends that you're seeing than the exact numbers. Like, I think because like Sam had this exact one, she's type 1 and she would, she used it and it was pretty reliable, but again, she would like rely on test strips where she's actually pricking her finger and stuff. And that's always going to be more accurate than any, I think, CGM. But for us, it's just kind of cool. And it's just cool to see how your body reacts to things. And it's been really interesting. Like I love data, like with anything. And so being able to see data of my own body is pretty cool. Yeah. You know, and like what's going on inside my body and all that stuff. It's been very interesting. And I mean, nothing super crazy has happened. Like I'm very surprised, but at the same time, I guess I shouldn't be because I have a healthy pancreas and everything's fine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's just a good just check in, to check in with your body every once in a while. The next couple weeks they're going to start issuing like challenges and stuff. So I'm interested to see what those are. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked at the email they sent today yet. So
yeah. So how are you feeling with like quarantine and everything? How are you going like fitness wise and all that?
I mean, I feel like, you got to make sure your goals change. I think a lot of people came into this quarantine and they had this mindset of like, I'm going to get out fitter than I was when I started. And it's just like you're at your home all day and you don't have optimal equipment and you don't have so to put this pressure on yourself of like, I need to be fitter than I was when I left, or when it started, I think is a lot of pressure. And I think I just kind of had this mentality of like, oh, things will be the same for me. I'll be fine. But I'm huge on environment. Environment plays a big role in how I feel like I'm able to connect.
You
and
call it the vibe.
The vibe. I'm huge on the vibe. What are the vibes like? You guys make fun of me because if I go to a restaurant and I feel like the vibes don't match the food, I'm disappointed. But it's like environment's huge to me, and thinking about how to make an environment fitting to like driving to the gym, getting there, hearing the barbells, that does something to your brain. Like it does, like gets you ready to go. And so waking up, being home all day, working in the home office, which if I didn't have that, I don't know what I'd be. So
I think we'd all kill each other.
Yeah.
We'd all be in the living room.
Yeah.
And that would be not good.
Yeah. And so, having the home office that I'm like kind of setting up, like I said, I put in drawers in there or, shelves in there, getting it like super, like a place I enjoy being, has helped me like focus on work. But then it's like, I come, in the background, my wife sneezed. She's upstairs and we heard that sneeze. But like being able to, like, if I can, like, what I'm trying to do is go downstairs and start stretching. And like, that's kind of like trying to get my mental cue to be like, all right, you're about to start working out. Let's like start getting ready again. But it's hard, man. It's hard having everything all in the same spot. So I'm less motivated than I hoped I would be, but I'm not discouraged by that. It's just a realignment of expectations. What do you think?
So for me, I feel like I'm the complete opposite. Like, just being honest. Like, I mean, it's definitely harder, and I'm not going to say that it's not harder to stay like motivated. And I think that it's just hard to compare because, like, for me, I'm very lucky that I have this community that I have on all like social media and stuff. That I feel like and maybe it's just in my head that I'm telling myself this, and it helps me stay motivated. But it's like me posting the workouts and putting the things out there. It makes me feel like I'm doing something that's helping others. So it makes me want to go out there and get the workout done, you know? And especially now, like, I mean, I'm surprised at how motivated I was when all we had was our living room. Like, we couldn't even work out outside because it was just concrete. There was nothing out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, you know, again, I'm still going to pay for carpet cleaning when we're done because I sweat a lot. But, you know, I did what I could to protect the carpet. You know, I put down stuff.
He commandeered my yoga mat.
Yeah, I did.
Now I don't have a yoga mat.
Yeah, but you know, we have a Ramon mat here now. It's better anyways. And so, but now that we have like the outdoor gym, I mean, it's not really a gym, but it's like an outdoor space where we have mats down, we have a sandbag, we have some dumbbells, we have some wall balls, we have, you know, the assault bike, which was really cool. Like, that's so cool that we have that. And so I'm able to kind of like do that whole routine that you have. Like I make sure I wake up in the morning and I, you know, get my morning routine done. And then usually by like 8:45, I try to start stretching, and I want to be like kind of like outside getting set up for my workout at 9. Mm-hmm. And I used to work out at 9 at the gym. Right. And so it's like just trying to get my mind there. And so it's actually been pretty nice. Like, I mean, I'm definitely not working out as much or as like, I mean, I'd say my workouts are intense, but they're all very lightweight, body weight kind of workouts for the most part, unless I'm using the sandbag, which is the heaviest thing we have, which is 125 pounds. So it's like, for me, it's like, this isn't ideal, but let's make the best out of it regardless. And so it's been nice, like, in just doing what I can and like trying to find, like, for me, what I've been focusing on is trying to find the wins that I can, right? For us, we're very lucky that we live in San Diego. The weather is beautiful right now. Yeah. Like, working out outside is absolutely possible, and it's very nice. It's kind of hot, but it's much better than working out inside, right? Yeah. Like, we have that going for us. So like trying to find, because like there was the first few weeks of quarantine, it was raining here a lot, like really weird, like not very normal at all. Yeah. And I couldn't go outside to go on a walk at all. Like, there was, and it was like, this is horrible. Mm-hmm. And so I really feel for people that are in places where you can't go outside, or it's like if you go outside, you have to be in full gear because it's raining or snowing. Like, that would be really tough. And so it's like trying to find the wins there. But again, it's like, it's all about mindset. Like, it's not the perfect scenario, but it's like in my head, like what I tell myself is like, well, too bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I say to myself. Like, too bad. You need to do it. And like, that's where that whole like hashtag non-negotiable thing kind of started that I've been posting. Is so many people message me every day and they're asking, how do I stay motivated? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's going to be hard to be motivated. Like you were saying, like it's tough, but it's like, if you make it non-negotiable, like I always explain, like if you treat it like you like treat brushing your teeth, you're not like going to have a day where like, I don't want to brush my teeth. Today's not the day. Like, it's like, no, I'm going to brush my teeth. It's part of my day, you know? And that's kind of how I see like working out. And now so I usually work out like twice a day. And especially now, I mean, my workouts are maybe 20 to 30 minutes long. So they're not insanely long workouts. But for me, I like to spread them out because it honestly gives me something to do. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that PM workout is definitely harder. Like, I'm going to work out after this. And I definitely am not looking forward to that workout as much as I was this morning. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like I'm completely 100% motivated all the time. Like, there has been a few days where I'm like, I'm not going to work out tonight. I'm going to do something else. And so it's not like I'm always crushing it, but I actually this is kind of a side tangent, but I had a really big win yesterday. I went on a run in the morning and I PR'd my 10K at like 56 minutes and something seconds. And like, that was huge for me. If I could have every run feel like that, I would be very happy. And so that was awesome. That was a cool little win that I had. I've been trying to run a little bit more because we kind of talked about it on the past few podcasts, but I want to do a triathlon at some point this year. I don't know when now. Everything's so crazy, so I have no idea when I'll actually do it. Maybe it won't be until next year, but like my plan is to do one. And so I'm like, well, the one that I want to do, the distance that I want to do, the run is a 10K. That's the end of it. So I've been trying to do as many 10Ks as I can. Obviously, that's it's probably not the most the best training plan in the world, but like right now I'm just doing what I can. Mm-hmm. And so it just felt really nice like that. I've never had a run feel like it was like a lot of times when I'm running, I can feel every step. Like I just feel my body like dush, dush, dush. This one I felt like I was like floating. It was just weird. Mm-hmm. And so that was like a really good an uplifting thing because for the past like few weeks, every run I was just like, man, I just don't like that didn't feel good. I'm not really happy with that. Like I felt like a lot of times I'll go on a run and I'll be like a mile in and all I can think about is like, I can't wait for this to be over. This run yesterday, I was just like, this is great. Mm-hmm. I wish every run felt like this. And it felt like that the whole time. And so that was really nice. And so, yeah, I don't know. That was a tangent, but I wanted to bring that up because I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, I've never had a run feel like that.
You've been running a little bit more.
Barely. I don't know. It's just a lot of annoyance comes with runs, so I just avoid them.
What annoyances?
My back. Just it hurts, and then it feels like my hips lock up, and every step is a really short step, so I feel like I'm doing a lot of steps to get a very short distance. And it's like I could... Like, what the biggest benefits of running is the endorphin release, the cortisol, all that stuff, give you better mood. It changes your body composition when you're able to release that in your body, for your heart and cardio and respiratory, like all those things you can do in just a standard body weight workout. Typically, the idea is that if you can work out 3 to 4 times a week at about 20 minutes, it could be a fast walk. Like you're going to get all those benefits and all those results. So it's like, for me, it's like, I would much rather do something that's not going to cause me like there's a difference between like discomfort and pain, you know? And like, I'd rather do something that's kind of uncomfortable and causes me discomfort, but I can recover from, than something that I'm like literally in pain for the entire time. And so running is never like really an option that I consider. Like, it's just like, nah, like I've done a 5K row in under 20 minutes. But a run would never, that would be a 10-minute improvement, you know, like, so it's like, there are just other things that I can do to like get those benefits. Do I wish that it was like, you know what, I'm feeling kind of, I'm going to go on a run. Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could do that. But the nature of where I'm at right now is just not a reality.
Yeah. Running's interesting because something that I think about often is, there's a lot of people that are like CrossFit haters, right? That are like, oh, CrossFit's you're gonna injure yourself. It's bad for you. Mm-hmm. Running can absolutely injure you if you're not smart. Like it is, and it's not even. It's like if you run a lot, you're going to get injured at some point. Like I'm not saying you're gonna completely make it so you can't walk, but like you're gonna have some sort of like, it might even be something as simple as a blister, but you might get shin splints, you might get plantar fasciitis, you might get stress fractures. Like there is a lot of issue you can have running, especially because a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'm gonna start running, and they don't even really walk that much right now. So it's like very much so, I think people think that running is this basic thing that they should be able to do, and like maybe for, you know, if you need to run for a quick second across the street, yeah, you probably should be able to do that. Yeah. But like if you're like, I'm gonna go run a 10K and you haven't ran in a long time, probably don't do that. Like that is, and so that's why like it's definitely a lot of people. Whenever I post about running, I get a lot of people asking me like, oh, should I run? I'm this amount of weight. I weigh this much, and I don't know how to answer those questions because, again, it's all very personal. Yeah. But a lot of people ask about the couch to 5K, and that seems to be a pretty good like starting kind of thing because at least I've never done it, but from what I've seen, it's like you walk for a little bit and then you run for a little bit and then you walk for a little bit and you run. You know what I mean? And then it slowly builds up to where you're running for a mile. But like for the first part, it's like you're running 200 meters or maybe not even that long, you know? And then eventually obviously the goal is to get to where you can run a whole 5K, which is 3.1 miles if you don't know that. But, you know, running is not just this basic thing that everyone should be able to do. But I am very thankful that I think for me, running is always going to be this thing that I want to do, because like there was a time in my life where I could not run. Like no, not that I couldn't run a mile. It was like I could not run. Like I remember being in high school and we had to run the mile. I couldn't even run the lap, it was a 400 meter. It was a regular, track, 400 meters. I couldn't do it. So I would normally, something the coach used to say all the time was like, if you can't run the whole thing, run the longs, walk the shorts. So basically that means like, it's like an oval. So you run the straight part and then you kind of walk the little curve, right? And so I would always joke, I'm like, all right, yeah, run the shorts, walk the longs. But that's how it was for me. Like I could not run.
Yeah.
And so for me, running is always going to be like this thing that I want to be able to do. And I want to kind of get better at. Because there was a time when I couldn't. And it's kind of the same thing with CrossFit, like little things in like handstand walking or muscle ups and all that stuff. Like I'm always going to be, and like we have people at the gym that like kind of make fun of me whenever I post about them. And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about this, because like I don't think they understand like where I was for a long time. Like I couldn't do a lot of things. Like my body was almost, I don't want to say it was useless, but it was like, for the things that I enjoy now, it wasn't going to be able to do those things. Yeah. And so like I feel like I have this appreciation for like running and little things like that because of where I came from. And so that's why I think I'm always trying to kind of push myself, because I want to see how far I can go. And it's crazy, man. Like I still feel like there's so much more I can do. Like there's so much more potential that I haven't tapped into. And like, I don't know. I really think that I can get there. I really think that I can do more, and not even to where it's like pushing myself to where it's unhealthy, but like I know that there's more that I could give, and completely natural too. Like I've been getting more and more comments of people being like, "Oh, have you ever thought of steroids, or do you do steroids?" Because I mean, basically, I've been posting more shirtless stuff, and so people are seeing like what my body looks like, and like they either think I'm on steroids or think I should go on steroids to fill in the loose skin or whatever. I have no plans in doing that, but like, imagine if I did. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that'd be crazy. I have absolutely no want to do that.
It'd be a short spike, and then it would be a downhill.
Yeah, I have no. Yeah, absolutely. I've never actually given it any thought, because it's just not like, the reason I got into this was to improve my health, and I know I have very, very many friends that it doesn't improve your health. It might improve your aesthetics for a while, and obviously, with CrossFit and stuff, it might improve your scores or whatever, but long-term health is not what that's about. So I'm not interested, but it's just, I mean, I really think that there is more that I could get out of my body naturally. And so like, that's kind of, I think like where my mindset is, when I'm like doing these workouts at home and I'm like trying to push myself. And I think that's what like is in the back of my, it's not like I'm always thinking about it. It's not like I'm like, I need to be the best in that. It's not like that, but it's like, I think that that's kind of this thing that's going on back there that I don't really think about too much. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. In the back of my mind, it's just, why do I do this? Why do I do this to myself? But I mean, like the idea of like, what are your wants? Do you have long-term wants or your short-term wants? Like, yeah, my short-term want is to stop this workout and not finish because I don't feel like doing it. But I know like in order to be the person that I want to be, I need to work out 4 to 5 times a week, and not be an idiot with my diet. Like, and so it's like, those are my long-term wants, and that's what I want for the long term. So the things I need to do in order to get there are work out 5 times a week, 4 to 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, whatever, which is not necessary. 7 times, like 5 times is great. And to not be a complete idiot with my food. And that will get me to where I want to be. I'm not expecting to be a professional or the top of the top, but like I want to be healthier, and especially like with life changing for me so much always, like I feel like I haven't really settled anywhere yet. I'm still always experimenting, trying, looking, knocking, doing all the things, like just trying to figure it out. And if I can be the healthiest version of myself in this season, I feel like that's a good, and And I think a lot of people, I just feel like a lot of people, they see what's out there and they think that they need to be that in order to be successful, or they need to like, they're waiting for their time where they arrive, and you don't arrive. Mm-hmm. You never do. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing, and that's not a daunting thing. It's just a reality check. Like, as long as you're breathing, you haven't arrived. And so it's like, look at where you are, take stock of where you are, and then move forward from there.
Yeah. And I think like a big thing, like what you were talking about, is I struggle with, because I want a lot out of myself just because that's what I want. I don't think people need to do what I do. And like, that's why for a long time, like I didn't talk about how I like would do 2 workouts a day, or I didn't talk about, because it's like, it's not necessary. It's not. And I don't think it is. I do it because I enjoy it. But it's like, if you don't want to do that, you don't need to do that. Like, especially if your goal is to live a healthy life, it's not necessary. Mm-hmm. I do it because I like to do it. And I have, especially right now, I have a lot of free time, But it's like, if you don't want to do it, you should not feel bad about that. Like, it's all about becoming the healthiest version of you in all aspects, right?
Yeah. Like, and in that season.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not as healthy as you were 6 months ago, but life has completely thrown you a curveball and you're at a different spot than where you were, like, okay, you have a new normal. Like, you have a completely new normal. Stop looking at your Wodify scores, your old PRs, your numbers you used to hit. Like, all right, this is the season I'm in right now. Here's the best that I can do. And, like, settle down. Like, it's okay. Now, I think that there's value in striving. The whole idea, and we've talked about it before, but, like, content with who you are, but getting where you need to be. My camera turned off again, but I'm not going to do that whole thing again. But it's like, there's value in striving, but if you're always trying, if you lose the journey for the destination, you've lost it. Like,
well, and like there's value in striving, but I think it's more about what you're telling yourself, right? So if it's like you're striving and all you're saying is you suck, you need to be better, you're a piece of garbage, what good does that do? Like, what good does you beating yourself up do?
Yeah.
It doesn't do there's no good in that. Like, but if you're striving and you're like, I messed up, but like I really do think that I can be better. Like, that's where I come from. Like, I don't, like, if I miss a workout, I'm not like, oh, you're a piece of garbage. Like, I'm like, I get it. Like, I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's like, I want to do those workouts, or I want to improve my diet and stuff because I feel like I can, and I feel like I can be better. But it's like, if I fall short, I'm not worried about it. I'm not like beating myself up. And like, I think a lot of people, this kind of goes into like when I struggled with binge eating, and like I've had a lot of conversations with other people that struggle with binge eating, is you almost feel like you need to beat yourself up. Like, you need to do that because you need to, like, somehow it makes it better. If I beat myself up, then I know I didn't really want to do that. And like, I just need to be really mean to myself. And it's like, it doesn't do any good. Like, just moving on. That's what one of the things I always say when it comes to like dieting and all that stuff is like, have a short-term memory. Like, if you fall off the wagon or whatever you want to call it, you need to forget and get back to it. Because if you're just upset and then you eat more and more and more, whatever it is, what good does that do? Like, you're not going to heal from it, right? Like, mentally, but then also you're probably damaging yourself more physically as well. And so it's like, you beating yourself up it's not some like thing that like, oh wow, like, yeah, he messed up, but look how mean he's being to himself, and look how, like, obviously he feels bad. Like, no one's thinking that. No one cares. That's all in your head. So like, if you're able to just move on and be like, the biggest thing is if you're able to learn from that, that's the thing that matters the most, right? Make sure you learn from that mistake, if that's what you want to call it or whatever, and then you can move on. That's where the magic happens, I think.
Do you feel passionate about that because you have a history of beating yourself up for things, or do you think?
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. Like, that's exactly like when I was struggling with like binge eating, that was my biggest struggle that I had, I would say, with dieting, because like losing the weight honestly wasn't that difficult. Like, I never had super bad, I feel bad, but like a lot of people will message me and they ask like, oh, what happened like when you gained 30 pounds back or whatever, you know what I mean? Or you had a huge plateau. And I was like, I really didn't, because I was very like good with like losing the weight wasn't that difficult. I mean, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But like once I put my heels in the ground, I was like, I'm gonna do this. I did it. But binge eating was the thing that scared me. Like it scared me. I felt like now, no, there's no way I will go back to where I was. And not to sound cocky, but it's like I know what I would have to do, the amount of food I would have to eat. Like my whole life would change, right? If I wanted to go back to that size. But like when I was struggling with binge eating, I was like, I don't know, maybe I will go back because I felt out of control, and I would beat myself up so much when I would binge, because like for me the binge eating was I'd do well, and that's in quotes, for about 3 days, and that when I say well, what that was way under eating, like eating 700 to 1200 calories. And the thing that I would tell myself is like, you know, the first day that I would eat that low calories, I would say, well, if you can do it for one day, why can't you do it for a bunch of days? And when you're eating that low calories, like you can for a couple days, but then eventually your body's going to be like, I need food. At least that's what was happening with me. And so then after like the third or fourth or fifth day, like for me, I could feel this, like, it was like this binge monster was behind me. And it was like, I knew it was going to come. I knew it was coming. And every day it would just creep closer and closer. And then eventually it would be there, and I would go crazy, overindulge. Like, I mean, eating like 7,000 calories, right? And then the next day, I would beat myself up all day long. And then I would eat really low calories, and then the cycle continued. You know, so that's why I talk about like giving yourself grace, letting it go, and being able to the next day, if you did binge or something, be able to be like, okay, I'm just going to get back on track. That's why, I mean, it all ties into everything that I speak about, right? That's why I'd say don't undereat, because when you're undereating, that's the danger that can happen, right? That binge eating, that can absolutely, it can, like, if that takes hold of you, it can ruin everything. And I'm not trying to be like, I don't know if the word's hyperbolic or whatever, being like super over the top, but like it is true. I really believe that. Mm-hmm. And so like, that's why I'm so passionate about it, because if you just give yourself some grace and be like, I messed up, let's move on. You're going to have much better chance of being able to get back on and like stay on for a while than, oh, I'm so mad at myself, I'm not going to eat anything all day long, and I'm so mad, I'm terrible. Or it might even be the opposite of, I'm so terrible, I might as well just eat whatever I want today too. Mm-hmm. And then that snowballs, you know, and so.
Yeah, I think that we give ourselves, like we allow ourselves to talk bad to us to the extent far beyond than we would ever allow someone else to. Mm-hmm. And like when you hear what you just said, like if you imagine it was someone else talking to you, it would be, you'd say that's abusive. Like you're in an abusive relationship. The fact that this person is talking to you that way, that they give you everything you want, and then they punish you for multiple days after for using it. Like, whoa, that's like abusive. Like, what are you doing? But we allow ourselves to talk to us that way because we don't think there's anything different from it. And so I think one of the first things is just realizing like, hey, that doesn't have to be your life. You know, like there is a way out, and it's going to take work, but, you can. I think what I was thinking about, we watched this movie recently, called Brittany Runs a Marathon, and I thought it was super interesting, because I feel like they did a really good job at like kind of talking about, basically the premise of the story is this girl is overweight. And she kind of is at a point in her life where she's not happy with her career. She's not happy with the way she looks. She's not happy with her friends. And she decides, okay, I want to make a change. And then she has a neighbor who runs. And so she's like, I guess I'll run. And then it goes to this crazy thing of like, oh, I'll run a marathon. And it covers like, a year and a half maybe worth of time in that movie. And it really like digs deep into making the scale your priority, making what other people think about you the biggest thing, how making a change can impact your friendships and your families. And, you know, like I thought that was super, I don't know. I thought it was a really well-made movie that didn't get as much attention as it possibly could have gotten. And I know there was a lot of like controversy, not a lot, but there were controversies within some of the subjects. What did you think about the movie?
I really liked it. So I had a few people when the movie first came out, because I think it came out like the end of last year. And
I think it's been out for like 6 months now.
Yeah. And so people were kind of asking me to maybe do a video on it. And I never watched it. Obviously, I didn't watch it until a couple days ago. And I thought it was like a documentary at first, like before we watched it. And it was pretty good. It was I think that it did a good job of exploring, because it was this girl that lost, I don't know, it wasn't like she lost a crazy amount of weight. She lost like 80 pounds or something like that doing this training. But it even went into how she then saw other people that were overweight and how she treated those people. And so I thought that they did a pretty good job. And then, explaining the whole relationship with the scale and how it can just become very disordered. That's one of the biggest issues, and one of the scariest things about losing a massive amount of weight is that you might do it, like you might be starting it because you want to be healthier, but it really can become very unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really can. And I understand that. And I think that that's very true. And so it's about finding that balancing act and like being able to, try and treat yourself with grace, but then obviously it's like you can't give yourself, if you're trying to lose weight and you're at a point where you need to, and it's like imperative to your health, if you give yourself too much grace, then you're not really doing anything, right? You're just like, well, I'll eat this and I'll eat that. And it's like, well, okay, you need to be a little bit more. So it's like, it's a balancing act, And so I think that they did a good job kind of showing that. And it's like, do you go out with your friends, or do you not? Or sometimes you're gonna have to say no, but maybe sometimes you should say yes, so you're not completely isolated all the time. It's hard. Like losing weight is hard, and I think that they did a good job showing that, and then showing how people might treat you differently because of that, and it's a pretty good movie. I would recommend people go watch it.
Yeah, I think that they cover well the idea of like when you make a change. I think that a really immature way to look at change is to look at everyone else who's not doing it and judge them. And I've definitely I've fallen into that. I know I have, yeah. Where it's like a big thing is, and here we are. It's like what you guys get from me out of this podcast is it's me talking my therapy out. But when in my space, I'm I work in a church. So pastors should be these disciplined people, right? They should be people that we're looking up to, that they and everyone's got problems and everyone's got issues. But when I see a pastor who is severely overweight, for me, there's struggle there, because it's like, if you're not disciplined in this area of your life, what else are you not disciplined in? You're charged with leading a group of people. A lot of the times you're charged with the finances of this thing. You're charged with the spiritual practices and disciplines, showing people. And I would really struggle with being like, man, if you can't be disciplined in that area, what other areas can you not be disciplined in? And my heart's being worked on. We're never perfect. We never arrive. But I feel like I'm in a much different place now, where it's like I have a lot more compassion. I have a lot more okay, I don't know your story. I don't know anything about you.
Yeah, I think that kind of speaks from where you came from, because you lost some weight, 40 pounds or whatever it was. And I think because your weight, and we've talked about it, was because you just were not being disciplined. Yeah. And that's probably where it's coming from, is I know what caused me to be my size. Mm-hmm. And so you must be that plus 100 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's and at the same time, when I wasn't disciplined with my diet, I wasn't disciplined with my journaling, with my reading, with my giving, with my generosity, with my I wasn't disciplined in any of those areas. I was if discipline is a shape, I was a blob. There was nothing. And so I think it's easy to just kind of throw those feelings onto that person. But that's a part of growing, and that's a part of changing, is when you first start something, and it's like this, I've posted it before on my page, on a story. I think I'll repost it or something, but it's this curve of knowledge. Is when you start something, you start there's this curve where you feel like you know nothing. Okay, so you're at the bottom, and then you gain enough knowledge to feel like you know a lot.
You just feel like you're Albert Einstein.
Yeah, you gain enough where you're like, man, I can help everyone. I am a blessing to society with the knowledge that I offer. And then you learn more and you realize how much you don't know, and like the curve drops again. And it's like a lot of people, a lot of the judgments, a lot of that comes from being at the top of that curve where you're like, man, it's just calories in, calories out. That's all it is. Why can't you do that? Like, why can't you be more disciplined? But then you start realizing a little bit more of the nuances of life or whatever. And the fact doesn't change, but it is like the way in which you approach them does. And that's just part of maturity. That's just a part of growing, developing, becoming I know like in my life as an example is like, you're a kid and you don't know anything. And then you're an adolescent and you know everything. And then the older you get, the more you realize you don't know. And it's like that same curve applies to so many things in life. And I think one of the biggest like lessons that I've been like observing and learning is like, you don't know how much you don't know.
Oh yeah.
And that is so humbling, because it's not terrifying. It's not scary. It's just like, you don't know how much you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like the exciting thing is like, dive in, get deeper, go like learn more, like you keep on testing, keep on going. But also keep the idea of like, you still don't know how much you don't know. And I feel like that if we can present our relationships, if we can present our thoughts and our feelings and our blah, blah in that context, there'll be a lot more compassion.
Yeah. I'd say like the way that I can explain, this is kind of the last thought. We've been talking for a while, but the way that I can see that in my life is with like YouTube and being in the spotlight, as much, whatever spotlight I have, but is when I first started like posting and things started like picking up, I really felt like I've never been like, I know everything. I feel like I've always done a pretty good job of understanding that, but there was definitely a time where it was like I was much more willing to tell people exactly how everything was and give them my advice and tell them what to do. Now I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know your exact circumstance. I don't know exactly what you're going through. So I don't like to tell people what to do, especially if it's like they're just asking me a random question, you know? And so like there was definitely a time with like my YouTube channel and with my journey where I felt like I knew everything and I could help everybody. And now I think that I'm much more reserved with telling people what to do. I'll give guidelines and be like, this is what worked for me. That's what I almost always do. This is what worked for me. Yeah. I'm not saying this is what you need to do. This is what worked for me. I'm very careful with that because I don't want to be that person that seems like a know-it-all. And so that's something that definitely relates to me with like my journey with YouTube and just creating content and stuff like that is I try not to be Mr. Know-it-all at all. Yeah.
I'd like to, not in this episode, but in a further episode, I'd like to talk a little bit about, you always say my spotlight, whatever spotlight that is, my following, whatever following that is, my this. You like discredit yourself. You've been on national TV, bro.
Yeah, but we'll just talk about it right now. I don't want to wait for another podcast. I don't know. Like, it's just, I just feel lucky. Like that, you know what I mean? Like I think that.
But I think every person, because I've listened, I've heard people say that. Every person who's known for something will always say, I got lucky. Yeah. Because there's so much luck involved. Yeah. Like, look at like there are people who have been daily vlogging for 10 years or whatever. Like 10 years, and they just have a very small following because at whatever level they haven't had a certain level of luck in which something explode. Like their luck is involved, but to discredit something based on luck, I think is.
Yeah, I definitely, that's definitely something that I struggle with is like, I think I take it to an extreme because like I understand there definitely was luck involved, like without a doubt. We were watching together, we were watching a video that PewDiePie put out recently where he was talking about like millionaires and how some people were like, oh, I'm not lucky, I just work really hard. And he was like, that's ridiculous. Everyone's a little bit lucky. And I definitely agree with that. Like when it comes to followers or money and, unless even if you were born into money, obviously that's very lucky. You got very lucky with that. But like there's a certain level of luck involved, and I don't ever want people to think that I'm some like this is all self-made, and it's like no, like because like the way I think about it is like there are so many people that have lost a lot more weight than me that are much more impressive than I am that don't have this following. So it's like I I guess the way like when I'm saying that stuff is like I want people to understand that I'm still very grateful, and it's not like I think I deserve this because I don't, you know. But it's definitely something I struggle with. I definitely do always say that.
It's like, you know, it's like, imagine, weird analogy, but that's what you get. Like if you had a toaster that had 6 slots and you only cooked 2 pieces of bread at a time, and you're like, well, I know some people don't have 6 slots. It's like, who cares?
Yeah,
you do. You know, like, and so it's like hearing something like that is kind of like, yeah, well, I know that some people, they've lost more and they've done that. And it's like, great. They don't have 6 slots in their toaster. You do. So let's cook all the bread, you know?
Yeah. I guess like sometimes it's like hard for me because I see like how hard you work and like how like you putting out YouTube videos and you never got that kind of like that person you were talking about. You know
I was talking about myself.
You never got that traction. And it's like, why me and not you? You know, and I almost feel bad about it at sometimes because it's like, I know how hard you work and how like you're much better at editing videos than I am and all this stuff. And it's like, is it just because I have a story? Is it just because I lost weight that people care about me? You know, and it's like, I think that anybody would have that kind of struggle unless you're completely full of yourself and you think you deserve everything, which is just not me. It's just never will be. Yeah,
I think, so me, like the way I react, I just read this book. It's called Changes That Heal. Highly recommend it. But the way that I react to your success has nothing to do like there needs to be a boundary set. Like you can't base your decisions on the way that I'm going to react to your success.
Yeah, but sometimes I do.
And I can't base my decisions and emotions and feelings based off of your success, you know? And like, that's something I had to learn. And like, I'm still learning and growing is like, cool, you've got success. Like, is me complaining about it and being mad and bitter going to change anything? No.
It just makes me feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, is that no? And so like there was definite season where I was like bitter and mad and angry, and every time you got a package in, it'd be like, you suck. You know, like, but will that do anything for me? Will that do anything for you? Will it do anything for a relationship or the podcast, for anything? No. So it's like being able to set clear boundaries of like, will this affect that? No. Then I can't let it affect it. You know, like, it's something I've been trying to work on, but I'd highly recommend it. Changes That Heal by Henry Cloud. But with that, thank you guys for listening to this therapy session.
Yeah,
I mean podcast.
This is a different type of podcast for sure.
We haven't had a broadcast in a while, and I haven't.
Dude, this was like the longest I've talked to someone in so long.
I know, right? Well, again, thank you for listening. If you guys aren't already, be sure to follow us on Instagram. I keep on saying that I want to like revamp it and keep it going, and then I just forget. So, that is the plan. We're going to keep posting on it.
What a way to sell it.
Yep. I know. But yeah. And then, you know, like us on YouTube, be sure you leave a comment, be sure to rate. What it does is it helps us. I mean, honestly, it doesn't, we could care less if we have 100 5-star ratings or 5.
Yeah.
But it's just a way that it gets people to know about us. And so that's kind of cool. And until next time,
peace
out.